Okay, one of the big issues with the game that we're working on so far is that it is very much limited to one particular screen, and uh, we want to kind of put some boundaries on the world to make it a little bit easier to deal with. So let's go back into our game. You probably remember now it is using the Bayat free platformer series, and we have a couple of enemies in here, and they kind of walk around, and we have our little hero, and their hero can kind of do the right thing, and hero can turn on our little, oops, let's see, we let that pass, turn on a little fountain that we can fly around in, and whatnot. But there's a lot of problems in terms of, what happens if the player falls off the end of the world, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, especially as we jump around. So let's do a couple of things. Let's hone in the world a little bit. So let's make the world. Let's see. In here we have the grid, and the grid has platforms on it, and that's fine, all well and good. But let's create another 2D object, tile map, and let's put that up in here and get rid of this extra grid here. Delete, and we'll call this boundaries or world bounds. Okay, and it has a tile map renderer, it has a tile map, and we want to add a tile map collider. All right, and we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and open up our tile map palette, or tile palette over here, and we'll go ahead and put it to the side over here. And I'm going to just do a real simple, and I could say paint a filled box with active brush. So let's create a filled box with the active brush. All right. So that's the bottom of the world. And we will now create sort of a top of the world sort of thing, or at least sides of the world. Whoops, that's not how I thought it would go. There we go. And we'll do something similar on this opposite side over here. Now, our hero obviously is not going to generally be in that area here. We could go one step further and even do like that, and whoops, Control Z, one more over, and that. And it's just creating this sort of boundary around the world that hopefully we never run into, but at least it'll keep the player from falling out into the world. And what we might want to do, this is going to be the ground, so we are allowing collisions with that. And let's add a component called game over collision. Okay. Game over trigger. Collision. Create an add. And this is really just to say, all right, let's end the game. So we'll open in Visual Studio. Let's bring Visual Studio back down into view here. And we will say, for now, I'm going to do something really simple. I'm going to say on collision enter 2D, right? And what I'm going to do is, if the player collides with that, we're going to do this. We are going to just kind of reset the game using Unity Engine scene management, and we're going to say scene manager dot load scene, and we want to load this scene. right? So I don't know if I could say scene manager dot get current scene, scene count, scene loaded, active scene, get active scene. Is that legal? Gets the currently active scene. Cannot convert from Unity to string. Load scene, active scene, dot. Return the index of the scene in the build settings. Why don't I just do this? I'll just say, what's the name of the scene? The name of the scene is starter scene, so we would say starter scene. I'm sure there's another way to do it. I just don't want to spend an awful lot of time. So the moment I collide, the moment, and I'm going to even do this on, right? So if I collide, if I trigger, if I whatever, it is going to load the scene. So what that means is, if I'm in the game, and whoops, message parameter has to be type collide 2D. So I must have do this on trigger enter 2D. Fine. Yep. It's a collider 2D, not a collision 2D. I knew that. All right, we'll go back over here. That should clear. And now, if I'm in the game, and I fall off, you'll see, boom. I hit the bottom. I saw that in the scene. Let's watch that again. Let's do this. We'll jump off this side. And we'll watch. You know, he hit the bottom, and the scene restarted. Okay. Falls down. Boom. Restarted. So the best thing to do would be, of course, it should be like lose a life, reset, etc., have a routine there. But now we just want to do it so that if he falls off the bottom, the world, has some boundaries to it. Okay. So next simple thing I want to do is I want to say, all right, let's either move this guy with the camera, right? So if I do this, I can say, all right, starter scene, main camera, I'm going to child this to our hero. Right, so now the camera is going to move with our hero. And it's eventually going to hit there. Now, if I wanted to make it slightly better in this version, let's at least say that our main camera offset is 0, 0. So our player is sort of centered. And now, okay. So now the world has at least some boundaries to it, and now it's sort of getting to the point of being kind of functional. At least I can kind of work with this, right? So I've got some things, got that. I have a sort of rudimentary camera. I don't really recommend just doing the childing here, this kind of piece here. Don't like that because that's just lazy. So let's move the camera back up here, and instead we'll go to hero. And there is a hero script. There's a hero. I'm going to add a component on the hero. I'm going to add a component, and I'm going to say DIY, or we'll call it camera controller. All right. So, yeah, camera controller. You can always get caught up in too many names. So we'll call it camera controller. And the only thing I'm going to do for now, I'll get rid of this, is I want to say camera.main.hero. transform dot position equals. Now I could set it right to transform dot position, but that's problematic because that's going to have some depth, a weird depth issue to it. So what I normally like to do, what I normally recommend is say, all right, let's have a vector2 or vector3, and we're going to call it campose, right, for starters, equals, and we're going to set that to the camera's current position, right? So vector3, whoa, look at that. Vector3 campose equals that. I didn't like that too much. Equals, let's say vector3 campose, world space of the transform, campose, vector3, declared but never used. Oh, look at that camp pose. There we go, that's better. Invalid expression. Campose equals transform vector3 transform dot position I could say new vector3, or I could say vector3 dot 0. What am I doing wrong here? It's too early in the morning. Campose equals camera main, camera pose. Oh, is it this? Stupid. Okay. That's what I get for leaving that hanging, dangling down there. That was weird. All right. All right. That's all unnecessary. So campose equals that. And now we could say campose dot x, or maybe the simplest is to avoid. So campose, I keep saying campose equals transform dot position. Okay. And then say campose dot z equals the current position dot z. Now I can say, then go back, right? So this way I've preserved the z value equals campose. Okay, this is the simplest camera sort of follower that we can do here. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but at least this is a little bit cleaner than just parenting, because it allows us to, at least setting up sort of a bit of an architecture to kind of come back and look at things later. So he's following. All right. All right. So that's that. Something to try, set up your world, put some limits on things.